Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, former National Security Advisor and Fox News contributor, is in focus now. General, thank you for being here today. Let's start with this idea of neutrality, because I'm a little confused. I think they may already be there. That means that Putin doesn't want Ukraine to be able to join NATO or EU, but he's already said, well, look, if you help this country, he'll consider it an act of war. So what's the difference?
Yeah, Harris, thanks for having me. Look, I may be the contrarian here, but I think that Zelensky's actually winning this fight. Putin's losing the information war, he's losing the diplomatic war, he's losing the economic war, and if this was a prize fight right now, I'd say he's behind on points. It reminds me, sometimes art imitates life, and I remember the original Rocky movie on 15th round when Rocky Balboa is looking at Apollo Creed and says, come on, come on, come on. Look, what Putin doesn't want to do, and he's going to be forced into it, he's going to have to assault Kyiv. Kyiv is a city now of 2 million people. It used to be 3 million. And it's a 2,000-year-old city. He's going to have to go in there. It's going to be street-by-street fighting. He's already committed over 90% of his combat forces. And remember, this was a city that our chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said would fall within the first 3 days. We're heading to day 15. And if he goes into that city, he will eat up his combat forces. He's not only an international pariah now, but he'll become an absolute war criminal if he does that. So Zelensky's actually in a pretty good position to dictate terms to the Russians. Now, he may say neutrality okay, but he can push back pretty hard. This is eerily similar to what happened in 1939 and 1940 when the Russians invaded Finland. And eventually they had to do a peace treaty in Moscow, but the Finns did quite well. And you're looking at what's happening right now with the Russians is they're not performing well. I think the entire world is seeing that. He's seeing that the military forces are having real difficulty in the East.
You're right. I mean, you seeing that Zelensky has that bit of leverage is something that we are not hearing enough of. And that's really important information. It may speak to the issue of why he felt confident enough to go back to his office to work. He knows he needs to be working at it because it's not over yet, far from over. You mentioned what happened in 1939. What happened to the Russian fighting forces? Like, what's going on today in 2022 that they look like this 150,000 strong?
Yeah, Harris, that's a great question. Look, they went through a huge modernization plan, the Russians did. Here's what they forgot to modernize: their leadership capability and how they fight. They do not fight well at the joint and combined level. It's almost independent forces. They call them BTGs, Battalion Tactical Groups, or fighting independent. They do not fight well in combined arms. And this should, when you look at NATO, NATO should be going, whoa, these guys would be easy for us to take. And I think Putin's seeing this. That's the reason he's a little bit nervous, and I think that's the reason why he's pushing peace talks between Bennett from Israel, and you've got Macron out there from France, and Scholz of Germany, all trying to talk about peace. I think Putin is getting himself backed into a corner. And, the more he's getting, every day that Zelensky survives, and every day they cannot decapitate the government, is a loss for Putin. And this is really playing bad for him.
Real quickly, and it's got to be fast. General, no-fly zone ever on the table? I mean, I know the president took it off, his administration has. Wish they hadn't even talked about it.
No, I don't think you need one, Harris, because right now, one, if you give them the jets from Poland, the MiG-29s, there's about 29 of them, you don't need a no-fly zone. They can do their own no-fly zone. It's even right now in the air war. They're not losing the air war. They may not be winning it, but it's even. And I think right now you don't need one to go forward. So I'd say you don't want NATO to put a no-fly zone up right now. Should we be part of what Poland does in terms of those MiGs? Absolutely. There's got to be a way to do it. There has to be a way. And they're NATO-bred aircraft, and I can give you some pretty creative ways how to use those aircraft, but there's got to be some way that we can get those aircraft transferred to Ukraine. They're fourth-generation aircraft, which means they're top of the line, because there's equivalence to our F-15. It's a good airplane. They're used to flying them, and we should figure out a way to get it to them.
I trust you when you say that you can think of a number of ways. I trust the generals, in Afghanistan before we exited there, who gave the president a lot of ways. I just wonder what he listens to, because we legitimately, again, are running out of time. General Keith Kellogg, always great to have you in focus, your time and your expertise. Thank you.
Thanks, Harris.
Republican